Bipartisan bill would ban TikTok from U.S. over communist China ties. Um, I'm gonna be honest. Uh, China owns so many of our politicians right now. China runs so many of our politicians right now. I really don't think a ban is gonna happen. Not only does China have their hand in our government and run pretty much the majority of our politicians, but people are really, really addicted to TikTok. So I think if they try to ban TikTok, people will stand up and say something about that. Even though I think TikTok needs to go because of the data that they're stealing and they're using it against us. People really have no idea how bad TikTok really is, not only mentally, but just by the data alone that they're giving to the Chinese is just crazy. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here, and there's also a link to my Instagram. And also check out my shop where I got T-shirts. I got I Will Not Comply T-shirts as well. So check that out. All right, let's talk about this news. The clock may be ticking for TikTok in the United States. Senator Mark Rubio and Rep. Mike Gallagher introduced a bill Tuesday that would ban the popular video based social media platform because of its links to Beijing, the lawmakers announced on Tuesday. The bill, which has bipartisan support, takes aim at TikTok parent company ByteDance, which is required under Chinese law to disclose its data to the Communist Party, according to a statement by Rubio's office. I mean, it's pretty much well known that if you have a big company in China, 51% of that company will go to China, to the CCP, and you have to give up all your information, intellectual property, all that stuff. I mean, that's well known in China. The averting the national threat of internet surveillance, oppressive censorship, and influence in algorithmic learning by the Chinese party. I know it's pretty long acronym, but it stands for Antisocial CCP Act. The Antisocial Act, CCP Act, would block and prohibit, quote, all transactions from any social media company in or under the influence of China, Russia, and several other foreign countries of concern, including Iran, North Korea, and Venezuela. I have no issues whatsoever with that at all. Quote, this isn't about creative videos. This is about an app that is collecting data in tens of millions of American children and adults every day, Rubio said. We know it's used to manipulate feeds and influence elections. We know it answers to the People's Republic of China. So, I mean, just think about all we know now, all that came out about Twitter. Imagine if China had control over something like that. Imagine what our country would do. We already have a lot of China's policies, like the lockdowns and the social credit scores and all that other stuff. Imagine how much other stuff China can get implemented in this country if they continue to harvest our data. Acknowledging Washington's simmering tensions with Beijing, Gallagher called TikTok, quote, digital fentanyl that's addicting Americans, collecting troves of their data and censoring their news. And that's 100% correct. There have been tons of studies that show how bad TikTok really is. TikTok is way worse than Facebook. TikTok is way worse than YouTube and other social media platforms. And it's by design. China is destroying us by social media. I mean, if you look at the TikTok in China, they don't have none of that stuff. None of the foolery, none of the crap that's on the TikTok here is in the same TikTok that's in China. The TikTok that's in China, they have stuff on math and stuff like that where they actually trying to educate people. They don't have none of the foolishness that's on the American TikTok. But quote, Allowing the app to continue to operate in the U.S. would be like allowing the USSR to buy up the New York Times, Washington Post, and major broadcast networks during the Cold War, Gallagher said. No country with even a past interest in its own security would allow this to happen, which is why it's time to ban TikTok and other CCP controlled apps before it's too late. Uh, the recently released U.S. National Security Strategy and National Defense Strategy both list China as America's top threat as it rapidly grows its military and expands its influence across Asia and into Africa. The Pentagon recent China military power report states that Beijing aims to become a global superpower and develop a quote world class military by 2049. Some Democrats also support the bill, including progressive rep Raja Kishanamurti, who called the legislation, quote, a strong step in protecting our nation from the nefarious digital surveillance and influence operations of totalitarian regimes. And good on him. I'm glad we have some Democrat support on this. Again, I think China runs deep in our government, so I don't know how far this bill will actually go. But, quote, at a time when the Chinese Communist Party and our other adversaries abroad are seeking any advantage they can find against the United States through espionage and mass surveillance, it is imperative that we do not allow hostile powers to potentially control social media networks that would be easily weaponized against us, Kishenmurthy said. Former President Donald Trump in late 2020 issued an executive order banning new downloads of the TikTok app, describing it as a threat to national security. However, the ban never came to fruition after a series of legal challenges, and President Biden revoked the order when he took office last year. And when he did that, I asked the question, why would he do this? I said that the answer is because China told him not to ban it. And we know China owns Biden. In its place, Biden issued an executive order that charged the Department of Commerce to evaluate, quote, foreign adversary connected software applications and take action as appropriate, which he knows without a bill in place or something with his signature on it is really not going to amount to anything. But Rubio, in a statement, said Biden's executive order did not go far enough to protect American data from falling into Chinese hands. Well, that's exactly what I was alluding to. Quote, the federal government has yet to take a single meaningful action to protect American users from the threat of TikTok, he said. There is no more time to waste on meaningless negotiations with the CCP puppet company. It is time to ban Beijing controlled TikTok for good. The federal legislation comes a day after New York lawmakers introduced a bill that would ban state employees and contractors from downloading TikTok on government issued electronics. At least 5 states, Maryland, Nebraska, South Carolina, South Dakota, and Texas, have enacted similar bans. So we'll see what happens. I'll stay on it. We'll see what happens when it comes to this bill. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out themarkrepublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.